This is a really important issue. This is a law, this amends a law that the council enacted several years ago that creates a strong financing incentive for development to provide up to 25 or provide 25% or more affordable housing, which is a terrific policy. It was very controversial when we enacted it. I believe the council vote was a 5-4 vote. And, it has been controversial. We got some comments from the county executive in his capital budget raising concerns about this issue. So my view is that the results of this legislation are speaking for themselves. Certainly willing to consider approaches that could improve or strengthen the bill. But what we've seen so far is that this has been used by developments that are providing 25% MPDUs, providing 50% affordable housing, providing even one example of a development providing 95% affordable housing in different parts of the county. And we have in the pipeline, we expect several developments in downtown Bethesda that will come forward providing 25% affordable housing. When we talked about this issue at the council, there was a lot of skepticism that any developer would actually take advantage of it, that the impact tax waiver would not be sufficient to incentivize any development to provide 25% MPDUs. And then, of course, there was another perspective offered that all the developments will do it and that's going to bankrupt the county. I think what we've seen so far is a more targeted use. But the fact that we have developments coming forward in downtown Bethesda, I think is just so significant. I know I've been referring to this book ad nauseum, but this book, The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein, about the history of segregation in communities and how many suburban communities were developed in the 40s, 50s, and even into the 60s, really as whites-only communities. And you see the legacy around you. We know that there is racial difference in who lives in communities around this country, and a lot of it has to do with the wealth that was created through that whites-only suburbanization, and then how that wealth was passed on from generation to generation, and how some people were locked out of that, especially, obviously, African Americans, but then other communities were given subsidies to create that wealth, which was then passed on. And we see that legacy around us. So the fact that we may have to step up and put our money behind solutions that might be a little bit more expensive, but bring affordable housing to communities that for generations people have been locked out of. That's what this legislation has been able to potentially bring about if these projects do move forward in downtown Bethesda. 25% affordable in downtown Bethesda. I don't think anyone would have thought that that was ever going to happen or would ever be possible. So having said that, if the county executive has concerns about this bill, we invite him to make recommendations. He did not support this at the council, but we invite him to make recommendations about how we can improve it. And we'll have an open and constructive dialogue, and we'll consider ways that we can make it better. And we'll take it up at committee, and we'll work our way through. So thank you very much.